Sam Darley here, and the last couple of days you kind of heard intentional talk talking about who the favorite is in the American League, and Justin Verlander saying, I got a reason why the Astros are the prohibitive favorite to win the AL, and saying the American League has to go through Houston to win it. And he's right. The Astros, they lost Carlos Beltran, they still have Brian McCann, they still have Altuve, Correa, Springer, Bregman, Gurriel, and the list goes on and on and on. And they're still a loaded offensive team. They were one of the highest run producing teams in the major leagues last year. My concern heading into last season for the Astros was their pitching, and it kind of carried. And I had that concern for them the entire season. Then they added Justin Verlander, and it put them essentially over the top, and they won the World Series. Well, now they've added Garrett Cole, and all of a sudden the rotation looks absolutely unbeatable on paper. I know Garrett Cole's had a bit of a disappointing 2017 season. And I know Hector Rodon with the Chicago Cubs, who's going to be coming out of the bullpen for the Astros, had a disappointing season with the Cubs. But I still think, when I look at the Astros now, I think rotation, bullpen, offense, they've got probably the most complete team. I actually think this year's team could be better than last year's team. And last year's team, again, won the World Series. That's not to say the Yankees aren't a contender, because the Yankees are going to be good, and so are the Boston Red Sox. There are going to be teams out there that are going to have something to say about the Astros' chances of repeating, and I get that, I understand that, but the Yankees are not the favorite. And when I looked at what they did in the offseason, they basically added another Aaron Judge. Now, I think Aaron Judge is a little bit more athletic than Giancarlo Stanton, but when you look at Giancarlo Stanton, and you look at Aaron Judge's games, you could basically say the mirror images. You could basically say they're the exact same player. The Yankees lost Todd Frazier to the Mets. Chase Headley was involved in that deal. He was let go by the Yankees. They did. They gave up Starlin Castro. He was a heck of a second baseman and a good offensive player. He could also play short for the Yankees. And to me, the Yankees really gave up a lot to get basically Aaron Judge with $30 million a year. That's not to say that Stanton's not a good player. He's a very good player. He's a very good power hitter. But there's a way to... Pitching still beats great hitting. I know the Astros and Dodgers had some offensive explosions in the World Series, but the last game was 5-1. You do need a good lineup, but you need a good pitching staff that can come through in key moments, and that's what the Astros had last year. This year they have, on paper, they have guys that manager AJ Hinch can utilize in different roles. They can bring McCullers out of the bullpen, or they can use him as a spot starter, or they can use him as the fourth guy in the rotation, the fifth guy, same thing with Morton and McHugh. We know that they have 3 or 4 guys in their rotation. I'm going to go and say 5. They have 5 guys that can legitimately take the ball on opening day. That's how good they are. Seriously, please answer me this. How is a rotation that has 330 career wins to 224 losses, that's a 596 win percentage, 10 All-Star appearances, 2 Cy Youngs? How is that rotation how is that team with that rotation, with that lineup, and an experienced manager not the favorite over the New York Yankees? The Yankees do not have an experienced manager. Remember, they let go of Joe Girardi. And I like Darren Bruno as a player. I think he was a really good analyst, a really good color commentator. But there is a difference between talking about situations in the booth and on ESPN versus having to make those decisions for yourself in a Game 5 or a Game 7 of the ALCS. That's going to be the difference. That's what's going to be the difference again this season. AJ Hinch is by far the most experienced manager. That's not to say the Yankees and the Red Sox and the other teams in the American League won't give the Astros a good run for their money. They will. They're a very good team. But the Astros have a better rotation than they had last year. They have much better bullpen of paper. It can match up with so many different lineups in baseball. And it gives AJ Hinch flexibility. And I know I kind of ragged on Hinch in the past and ragged on Luno in the past. That's in the past. That's water under the bridge. When you go out there and you win the World Series, you prove to me, not just to me, but to the entire world, that you are the best of the best. You are a great decision maker. You know how to get the best out of your team. And they're really, this is just adding all this talk about the Yankees and the Dodgers being favored over the Astros to win the World Series. This is fueling the Houston Astros. And like I said, they still got Correa, they still got Altuve, they've still got Springer, they still got a loaded lineup. I know they'll miss Carlos Beltran's leadership, they'll miss Alex Cora's leadership on the bench, next to AJ Hinch. And yeah, those keys, those are really key parts to a championship team that people don't understand. But I think the Astros still have enough veterans on the squad to where the hangover isn't going to be too bad. At least I don't think it will be. They'll have, I mean, they got Verlander under control for 2 more years, this year and 2019. Dallas Keuchel's in the contract year. They've been talking about not extending his contract during the season, but after the season. And I know Scott Boras is Keuchel's agent. I know everybody has that fear that Scott Boras is going to get Dallas Keuchel billions and billions of dollars. And of course, why not? Dallas has had a great career, and he's earned the right to have a monster deal. But at the same time, he's 31 next year at the start of free agency. And you kind of look at what's going on with JD Martinez. He's still a free agent, and we're on the doorstep of spring training. So I think that's going to kind of set the market for future free agencies. But, we'll see what happens. I just don't understand how the Astros are not the favorite. They have a better rotation, like I said, on paper. It's all on paper right now. The proof is in the pudding when the season starts. I like their pitching staff. They can do so many different things. The thing that's going to hurt them is they don't have enough lefties. They have Keuchel, and then it's really... They just have a bunch of right-handed pitchers. I mean, yeah, they have guys that can get left-handed batters out. But to me, not having a lefty specialist is kind of going to harm the Astros a little bit. Not to a point where it's like, oh my god, they'll absolutely need a left-handed specialist. But just having that left-hander just creates kind of confusion when the team. And it just gives a different look to the opposing team. And I just think all the right-handers the Astros have, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do. I think they're not done making moves, that they'll try and get a left-hander specialist. But, we'll see how the season goes for them. I mean, right now, depending on health and a major disaster as far as championship hangover is concerned, they are my pick to go to the World Series again. And probably most likely win it. But let me just explain to this. How is a team with... This is the Astros rotation. 330 career wins, 224 losses, 10 All-Star appearances, 2 Cy Youngs. That's just Keuchel, Verlander, McCullers, and Morton. That's just those guys. Then you add in McHugh, who's had a solid career last couple of years with the Astros. And it's just icing on the cake. Their pitching is just so much better this year on paper than it was last year. But again, it just comes down to the proof is in the pudding, as I always say. When the dust settles, I do believe Houston will be back in the Fall Classic. But again, it's to be determined. They started their pitchers and catchers workouts today. Jose Altuve made an appearance, and so I'm looking forward to team workouts. And spring training means baseball season is right around the corner. And that also means the NBA playoffs are right around the corner too. And with the All-Star weekend coming up, the Houston Rockets are loading up to beat the Golden State Warriors. My biggest fear with the Rockets is they become too obsessed with the Golden State Warriors. And we saw this with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL when they became so obsessed with the Patriots. Talking about the Patriots, thinking about how they're going to beat the Patriots, they forgot to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs. Now the Rockets can match the Warriors in just about everywhere on the basketball court. Defensively and offensively, they got Brandon Wright, they got Joe Johnson. They've kind of got more length, they got more athleticism, and they've got ISO Joe, who was very productive for the Jazz last year in a playoff run. To me, my biggest concerns with the Rockets, D'Antoni, Harden, and Chris Paul. D'Antoni, Chris Paul, and James Harden have not had exactly a winning recipe. I mean, D'Antoni's never beat Greg Popovich in a playoff series, and right now the Rockets are the 2 seed in San Antonio's bracket. Chris Paul's never been to the Western Conference Finals, and James Harden has only been to 1 conference finals and 1 NBA Finals And we all remember Game 6 against San Antonio last year. I know that's everybody's saying, well, that's a different team. This is Chris Paul's making them a lot better. I mean, they're a lot deeper than what they were last year. But the Rockets are still... The concerns are still there for me for the Rockets. I mean, have they become too obsessed with being Golden State that they got? I mean, they have a lot of tools in the shed to beat Golden State, but they cannot forget San Antonio, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, and Denver's a very tough, young, feisty team. I mean, the Rockets blew the doors off of them the other night, and it seems like everybody's kind of getting bored with the regular season. They just want the playoffs to start. Understandable. But the Houston Rockets, I think, are deep. They're talented. They've got length. They got athleticism. They do play a style of basketball that can beat Golden State 4 times in 7 games. But again, the obsession. Are they too obsessed with beating the Golden State Warriors? That they forget the San Antonio Spurs, and let's not forget, D'Antoni's never beat Greg Popovich. Houston is the 2 seed. I think seeding is going to play a big part for Houston as far as the playoff fate is concerned, because if they get the 1 seed, they'll get the 8 seed in the first round. They'll have home court over Golden State in the Western Conference Finals if they got that far. But right now, I think they are a very good team. Like I said with the Astros, it's to be determined. I think with Houston, you have to be cautiously optimistic because again, Chris Paul, James Harden, and D'Antoni have not tasted a whole lot of success in their careers. I know we're gonna bring up stats and all that. It's not about stats. It's about finals, appearances, and championships. And James Harden's only been to 1 finals. Of the 3 of them, Harden has had the most success. And that was back when he was with Oklahoma City, and a couple of years ago with the Rockets with Dwight Howard. But they lost to the Warriors in 6 games. And so, 5 games in the conference finals. So I think, to me, seeding, Harden, Chris Paul, and D'Antoni, they're all going to have to get it done and prove that they can beat San Antonio before moving on to the big gun, the Golden State Warriors. My advice to the Rockets is focus on the opponent that you have in front of you. This has been Sam Dolly. Thank you for watching.